So now we're going to see how to generate custom table columns by using the format table command. Specifically, what we'll do is display information about the C drive that includes drive letter, free space in gigabytes, size in gigabytes, and the disk type. So before we begin, it's kind of a warning, these commands are a bit long. So what I'm going to do is I'll start with a long string, and for each step on the command line, we'll go ahead and add to the end of that previous string. So I'll only be reading out those things that have changed. So let's start by looking at the default output of the following command. Get sim instance, class name, win32 underscore logical disk. And notice that the drive type that equals 3 is the C drive. So now let's type the output to where object to narrow the results to just the C drive. And we'll do this by typing get sim instance, class name, win32 underscore logical drive, pipe, where object, drive type, EQ3. And notice now we have the information for the C drive. So we may be only interested in certain properties, so by piping the output to format table, we can define the properties that are returned. What we'll do is we'll append to the end of the EQ3 the following: format table, property, device ID, free space, size, description. Okay, let's say that we'd like the device ID column to be the drive letter. So we can change that property by typing after the EQ3, format table, property, @ curly brace, n equals, in single quotes, drive letter, end of single quotes, E equals curly brace, $PS item dot device ID, n curly brace, free space, size, description. It's important to notice here that we're using an evaluated expression, and also that the name of the column is changed, but the value is actually the same. So now let's try and change the free space property to gigabytes, and we'll do this by substituting another calculation, and we'll pick up right after property, and we'll type @ curly brace n equals single quotes drive letter, n single quotes, E equals curly brace PS item dot device ID, n curly brace at, n equals single quotes free space, and in parentheses GB for gigabytes, end of single quotes, E equals curly brace $PS item dot free space / 1 GB, n curly brace size description. Here you can see that the column has been changed and the value is now shown in gigabytes. One thing to point out again that we've mentioned in a previous demonstration, that PowerShell actually understands abbreviations like GB for gigabyte, TB for terabyte, and so on. Now we can do something very similar to this to change the size property. And what we're going to do is pick up right after the device ID with @ curly brace n equals free space, paren GB, end single quote, E equals curly brace PS item dot free space / 1 GB, n curly brace at curly brace n equals, in single quotes, size GB, E equals curly brace PS item dot size / GB, n curly brace description. And as seen here by looking at free space and size, we have a large number of decimal places being displayed. So what we can do about that is we can use format string n2 to show that we only want 2 decimal places. And so what we'll do is we'll pick up right after the device ID, and we'll type @ curly brace n equals, in single quotes, free space GB, E equals curly brace $PS item dot free space / 1 GB, n curly brace, format string equals single quotes n2 at curly brace n equals single quote size GB, E equals curly brace $PS item dot size / 1 GB, n curly brace, format string equals, in single quotes, n2, n curly brace. And notice here that by using format string n2, we got the formatting change we were looking for. Now let's go ahead and change the description heading and truncate the information to 5 characters by using the width parameter. And we'll type @ curly brace n equals type in single quotes, E equals curly brace $PS item dot description, end of curly brace, width equals 5, end of curly brace. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to let PowerShell auto-size the table, and we'll go to the end of the previous string, just past the N2, and we'll type at curly brace n equals type in single quotation marks, e equals curly brace $ PS item dot description, end of curly brace, width equals 5, end of curly brace, auto size. And what we want to notice here is that the width restriction is ignored, and that's because we have so much space that's now available to us. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this demonstration, and I do apologize for some of the longer strings that were typed there, but hopefully you got to see how to generate custom table columns. And what we did is we displayed information about the C drive that included drive letter and the free space in gigabytes, also the size in gigabytes, and also the disk type. So this concludes this demonstration of custom tables.